Welcome to the 2025 Annual Workshop. What is the Child Care Food Program? The Child and Adult Care Food Program, CACFP, is a federal program that provides reimbursements for nutritious meals and snacks to eligible children and adults who are enrolled for care at participating child care centers, daycare homes, and adult daycare centers. CACFP also provides reimbursements for meals served to children and youth participating in after-school care programs, children residing in emergency shelters, and adults over the age of 60 or living with a disability and enrolled in day care facilities. CACFP contributes to the wellness, healthy growth, and development of young children and adults in the United States. Traditional CACFP can be claimed through age 12. Training Overview. In this workshop we will discuss meal pattern, meal counts, calculating added sugars, meal times and spacing, record-keeping requirements, claim submission and review procedure, reimbursement system, monitoring visits, provider's own children, license capacity, planned menus, civil rights, and don't forget to take the quiz for your certificate. Meal pattern for infants. For infant participation, all infants in the daycare home must be enrolled. Parents or guardians need to be notified that an iron-fortified infant formula is offered at no charge. Parent or guardian can decline the provider's formula by signing a decline form provided by the sponsor. Parents or guardians may provide only one component for a reimbursable meal. For example, parent provide breast milk and providers must provide remaining components. Meal patterns show the quantity of food each age group should receive. Keep meal pattern where it can be easily seen. Feeding infants ounce equivalents for grains. Check the chart for how much ounce equivalent infants should receive for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snack. Infant cereals and ready-to-eat cereals must be iron-fortified. Ready-to-eat cereals must contain no more than 6 grams of sugar per dry ounce. All grains served must be enriched, fortified, or whole grain rich. This chart shows the ounce equivalents of how much each grain should be served for infants and for that meal. Meal pattern for children. 1% or fat-free unflavored milk is served to all children 2 years of age and older, and whole unflavored milk is served to children 1 year of age. Iron-fortified formula may be served to children between the ages of 12 months and 13 months to help with the transition to whole milk. Breast milk is allowed at any age in the Child and Adult Care Food Program. Unflavored whole milk may be served to children between the ages of 24 and 25 months to help with the transition to fat-free, skim, or low-fat, 1% milk. Fruit juices are not a credible component even if they are 100% fruit juice.
How much milk should each child receive according to their age? 1 to 2 years old, half a cup, which is 4 fluid ounces.
Check the meal
3 to
pattern
5
for
years old
children.
for meals, 3/4 cup, which is 6 fluid ounces, and for snacks, half a cup, which is 4 fluid ounces. 6 to 12 years old, 1 cup, which is 8 ounces. This can be found in the meal pattern for children.
How much milk should each child receive according to their age? If you are unsure, check the meal pattern for children.
Non-dairy beverages must be nutritionally
Fluid milk
equivalent to milk.
substitutions.
A non-dairy
For children
beverage
or
must
adults who
contain
cannot consume
calcium,
fluid milk,
magnesium,
or who do not wish to
protein,
consume milk for religious
phosphorus,
or ethical reasons,
vitamin A,
non-dairy
potassium,
beverages may be
vitamin
served
D,
in place of fluid
riboflavin,
milk.
and vitamin
Non-dairy
B12 to be
beverages
equivalent to
must be
cow's milk.
nutritionally equivalent
Parents,
to cow's
guardians
milk
must
and
provide
meet
a
the
written
nutritional
request for a
standards
non-dairy
identified
beverage
in the
that is
chart
nutritionally
attached.
equivalent
For
to
example,
milk.
if
A medical
parent has
statement signed
child
by
who
a state
follows
licensed
vegan
healthcare
diet,
professional
the
is
parent must
acceptable,
submit a
but
written
not required
request
in
to
this
the Child
case.
Center. Fluid milk substitutions. For children or adults who cannot consume fluid milk, or who do not wish to consume milk for religious or ethical reasons, non-dairy beverages may be served in place of fluid milk. Non-dairy beverages must be nutritionally equivalent to cow's milk and meet the nutritional standards identified in the chart attached. For example, feeding grains to children. Limit meat/meat substitutions for the entire grain component on the breakfast menu to no more than 3 times per week. Grain-based desserts not reimbursable are donuts, cereal bars, breakfast bars, granola bars, sweet rolls, toaster pastries, cake, brownies, a whole grain rich, must be served once a day and must be 100% whole grain. Labels that say 6 grams of whole grain, 8 grams of whole grain are not 100% whole grain and therefore not a credible whole grain. The USDA COC-FP requires that at least one serving of grain contain a whole grain-rich component. Grains that meet the whole grain-rich component are grains that contain at least 50% whole grain, and the remaining grain in the foods that are enriched, or 100% whole grain. How to identify a whole grain-rich grain? 1. Food is labeled 100% whole wheat and meets the FDA's standard of identity. 2. If the product is found on any state agency's WIC list. 3. FDA statement reads diets rich in a whole grain foods and other plant foods and low in fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol may reduce the risk of heart disease and some cancers, or diets rich in whole grain foods and other plant foods and low in saturated fat and cholesterol may help reduce the risk of heart disease. 4. Rule of 3. The first ingredient must be whole grain, and the next 2 grain ingredients must be whole grains, enriched grains, bran, or germ.
5. Food meets the whole
5.
grain-rich criteria
Food meets the
under
whole
the National
grain-rich
School Lunch
criteria under the
Program.
National School Lunch Program.
6. Proper
6.
documentation
Proper documentation
from a manufacturer or standardized recipe can demonstrate that whole grains are the primary grain ingredient by weight. Using ounce equivalents for grains. Grains are an important part of meals in the Child Care Food Program. To make sure children get enough grains at meals and snack, required amounts for the grain components are listed in the meal pattern as ounce equivalents. Ounce equivalents tell you the amount of grain in a portion of food. There are 3 ways to determine the quantity of grain you need to serve at each meals and snack. 1. You can use the grain measuring chart for the CACFP. 2. Use the food buying guide for the child nutrition programs. Or 3. Use the calculation method. The chart shows the quantity of each grain. When serving yogurts,
New to the CACFP,
the requirement
is
for
added
yogurt
sugars.
must contain
What
no
are
more
added
than 23
sugars?
grams of
According
sugar
to the
per
U.S.
6
Food and
ounces.
Drug Administration,
Make sure to
FDA,
keep
added
containers
sugars
until the end of
include
the
sugars
day
that
or
are
have a
added during the
photocopy
processing
posted
of
on the
foods,
refrigerator.
such as sucrose or
If the
dextrose.
yogurt is on the
Foods
women,
packaged as
infants,
sweeteners,
and children
such as table sugar,
WIC
sugars
authorized
from syrups
food
and
list
honey,
shopping
and
guide,
sugars
the
from
yogurt meets the
concentrated
sugar
fruit or
level.
vegetable juices. New to the CACFP is added sugars. What are added sugars? According to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, added sugars include sugars that are added during the processing of foods, such as sucrose or dextrose, foods packaged as sweeteners, such as table sugar, sugars from syrups and honey, and sugars from concentrated fruit or vegetable juices. They do not include naturally occurring sugars that are found in milk, fruits, and vegetables. In 2016, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration How to check for added sugars on the nutrition facts label. Labels for foods and beverages with added sugars list the number of grams and the percent daily value, %DV, for the added sugars within the nutrition facts label. Having the word includes before added sugars on the label indicates that added sugars are included in the number of grams of total sugars in the product. Let the nutrition facts label be your guide. Check the label to see if foods are low or high in added sugars. 5% DV or less is a low source of added sugars. 20% DV or more is a high source of added sugars. What is the final rule for added sugars? As of July 1, 2025, breakfast cereal may have no more than 6 grams of added sugars per dry ounce. Yogurt may have no more than 12 grams of added sugars per ounces. 2 grams of added sugar per ounce. Please keep all nutrition labels or packaging until the end of the day, or keep a photocopy posted in the kitchen odd product used. If the breakfast cereal and/or yogurt is on the Women, Infants, and Children (WIC) authorized food list shopping guide, the cereal and/or yogurt meets the sugar level. Tofu. Tofu is a reimbursable meat/meat alternative component. Tofu must be commercially prepared, easily recognizable as a meat substitute. For example, tofu should be cut into chunks in a stir-fry. Contains at least 5 grams of protein per 2.2 ounces, equivalent to 1/4 cup. Meat and meat alternatives. Processed meat and meat alternates such as fish sticks and chicken nuggets must have a CN label or APFS, product formulation statement, signed by the manufacturer, which verifies the product's contribution to the meal pattern requirements. Please make sure to submit the CN label or the PFS if processed food is being used. Try not to throw labels away until the end of the day. Photocopy labels and post it on the refrigerator. Take a picture of any labels on a smartphone to show monitor during monitoring visits. Please post the meal pattern in a visible area where it can be viewed at all times and follow it to serve age-appropriate portion sizes for each child. Here is the meal pattern for breakfast. Follow accordingly. Here is the meal pattern for lunch and dinner. Follow accordingly.
Please remember to serve 3
Here is
credible
the meal pattern
components
for
for
snacks.
breakfast,
Follow
all 5
accordingly.
credible components for lunch and dinner, and any 2 credible components for snack.
Here is the meal pattern for snacks. Follow accordingly. Continuing with meal pattern for children. Food portions and components must meet the CACFP requirements. All children must be served/offered the same food unless they have a written statement by parent or physician. All components must be served together. Serve the food components separately to ensure portion sizes and components meet the CACFP requirement. Avoid mixed foods such as vegetable soup. Meal counts. Only claim children who have received a meal/snack. Take caution when clicking each child's name in KidCare. Meal counts and menus must be posted by 10 p.m. daily. Meals recorded before the meal is served will be disallowed. Daily meal worksheet must be done only when there is technical issues notified by Minute Menu, and turned in the morning after. To print daily meal worksheets, go to KidCare and click Reports, then click Worksheet, then click Daily Meal Worksheet and click Run. Meal times and spacing. Breakfast should be served by 8:45. Lunch should be served no earlier than 11 a.m. and no later than 1 p.m. Dinner should be served no earlier than 4 p.m. and no later than 7 p.m. There must be a 3-hour gap between breakfast and between lunch and dinner. There must be a 2-hour gap between breakfast and a M snack, AM to lunch, lunch to PM snack, and PM snack to dinner. Providers must serve meals as scheduled. Serving meals without any notice, meal will be disallowed. If the meal times change, inform KFAM staff as soon as possible. All changes need to be made in CNIPS. Record keeping and requirements. Providers must have a copy of each child's enrollment form, and the original needs to be mailed to KFAM. All children in daycare must be enrolled. Claimed food and attendance can be saved or printed after claim submission on KidCare each month. A copy of the current license fee payment must be emailed or mailed to KFAM. A copy of the permanent agreement between a sponsor and a daycare home provider should be kept with the enrollment forms. KFAM mails these to each provider during the re-enrollment month. Keep copies of the monitoring reports from KidCare. Any medical forms for children should be sent to KFAM and a copy should be kept with the provider. Declined forms for children in the daycare not participating in the food program should be sent to KFAM and a copy should be kept with the enrollment forms. Keep nutrition fact labels for cereals, yogurt, whole grain. All records must be kept 3 years to current year. Claim submission and review procedure. Providers must submit their monthly claim online using KidCare before the 3rd of each month for timely filing. Documents such as enrollment forms must be submitted to KFAM CCFP office by the 3rd of each month. CCFP staff works on online claims received and other documents according to the policy and regulations. Received claims will be submitted to the state by the 10th of each month. Error report with payment will be mailed out to each provider once the payment is ready. KFAM submits claims to CDSS each month on or before the due date according to the annual contract. CDSS has 45 days or longer to work and process claims sent by KFAM. Once KFAM receives the reimbursement check from the state, our finance manager deposits the check from the state and starts preparing reimbursement checks for each provider. KFAM must send out reimbursement checks within 5 working days from the receipt of the reimbursement check from the state. Please be patient as we do not know when the checks will be sent from the state.
Monitoring visits.
Monitoring visits.
3 unannounced monitoring visits will be done each year. Monitoring visits are done during the provider's hours of operation. Monitor will observe 1. Safety, children and food.
2.
Appropriate portions and or quality of meals.
3.
Record keeping is up to date. 4. Capacity of license. Providers must stay within their licensed capacity.
5. CN label,
yogurt,
cereal,
and whole grain.
6.
Block claims.
Block
A block claim is defined as a claim for reimbursement on which the number of meals claimed for one or more meal types is identical for 15 consecutive days within a claiming period.
7.
Milk, 1% or
1%
fat-free to children 2 years old and older. The Public Health Emergency, PHE, due to the end of the public health emergency, on-site monitoring will start as of July 1, 2023.
Monitoring visits. 3 unannounced monitoring visits will be done each year. Monitoring visits are done during the provider's hours of operation. Monitor will observe 1. Safety of children and food. 2. Appropriate portions and or quality of meals. 3. Record keeping is up to date. 4. Capacity of license. Providers must stay within their licensed capacity. 5. CN label, yogurt, milk, cereal, and whole grains. 6. Block claims. A block claim is defined as a claim for reimbursement on which the number of meals claimed for one or more meal types is identical for 15 consecutive days within a claiming period. 7. Milk, 1% or fat-free to children 2 years old and older. When claiming provider's own children refers to any children who reside in the household, such as the provider's own children by birth or adoption, grandchildren or housemates' children, who are part of the economic unit. Meal to the provider's own children may only be reimbursed if the following 3 conditions exist. The provider's children must be enrolled and be participating in the child care program during the time of the meal service. Other enrolled non-resident children must be present and participating in the same meal service. The daycare home sponsor has a current, less than 12 months old, eligibility document on file for establishing income or categorical eligibility for the provider's household or foster child (REN) meal benefit form. Tier 2 providers do not qualify to claim their own children. Child must be enrolled as not participating in the food program, and a decline form must be submitted.
License capacity. Please remember to stay within your license capacity. If you are not sure of your license capacity, please check with your licensing specialist. The next few slides will show what your capacity of children can be according to your license. This is the license capacity for 6 children. License capacity for 8 children. License capacity for 12 children. And license capacity for 14 children.
October renewal. All enrollment forms expire September 30th of each year. Any new child enrolled in the month of September enrollment form expires September 30th. Example, child enrolls September 6th. This enrollment form will expire September 30th and a new enrollment form dated October 1st will be required. All renewed enrollment forms must be submitted by October 5, 2025 to receive October reimbursement on time. KFAM will send copies before October 1st of each month. Any new child enrolled after copies are sent, provider is responsible to print from KidCare, submit the original to KFAM, and keep a copy for your records. KFAM is not responsible for any unsubmitted renewal forms. Make sure to keep a copy of all enrollment forms before submitting the original to KFAM. Provider not home policy. If provider and children are not present at daycare without notice, all meals for the day will be disallowed. Monitor will revisit. Provider must notify agency when daycare is closed and or mark closed for business on KidCare calendar. If provider has an assistant, Assistant must be trained regarding the food program. Assistants must know meal pattern, portions, and have access to all records. Household contact. Household contacts can be made by a sponsor agency staff to a parent, legal guardian of a child enrolled in the daycare to verify attendance and enrollment of a child. Sponsoring organization will contact the household when one or more of the followings are noted. Meal counts are inconsistent with attendance records. Prior 5-day meal counts are higher than the attendance on the day of monitoring visit. A large evening or holiday meal and snack are claimed for reimbursement. Meals served and claimed do not correspond to the information on the enrollment. Planned menus. KFAM is encouraging all providers to have a weekly/monthly planned menu. This can be done by logging it into KidCare. Go to Meals, Schedule Menu, enter the menu weekly, save, print, and post or create your own weekly/monthly planned menu. Sample menu is attached. Food safety. Always wash hands and wear gloves before serving. Place all food items 6 inches above the floor. Store opened cereals inside a container with lid. Keep refrigerator at or under 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Common errors that can be avoided are: pending children. Mail in all enrollment forms as soon as they are signed. Child exceeds 2 meals and 1 snack or 2 snacks and 1 meal. Make sure children are not clicked on more than the meals allowed. Child file indicates the child doesn't normally attend day of week or given meal. Please let KFAM staff know if the child's schedule needs to be updated. Do not go over capacity for preschoolers or infants. School-aged child served a meal when should have been in school. Remember to add no school on KidCare calendar for school-aged children present in the daycare during vacation and holidays. Please remember the date on the enrollment form must be the same as the date of enrollment on KidCare. Civil rights. Discrimination based on race, ethnicity, ancestry, and color, religion, sex, sexual orientation and gender identity, national origin, age, marital status, and domestic partner status, or disability is prohibited. KFAM's Civil Rights Officer is the Executive Director, Catherine Yum. Refer to COC P35 Civil Rights Complaint Procedures, which will be inside the folder you will be receiving with your certificate. All civil rights complaints should be brought to KFAM CC, FP Manager, Staff, or Executive Director, preferably in writing and as soon as possible. Complaints can also be brought directly to EEOC or Department of Fair Employment and Housing CD and Justice for All poster available in KFAM's office. KFAM Civil Rights Officer is the Executive Director, Catherine Yum. KFAM will immediately conduct an investigation. Any findings will result in immediate remedial action and responsible employees may be subject to disciplinary action. KFAM will not retaliate against anyone who files a complaint, regardless of the findings. Attached are some helpful resources and websites. To obtain your 2025 annual training certificate, click the link attached to the email to take the quiz. All providers that have taken the quiz and pass, a certificate and workshop folder will be mailed to the provider's home. All providers will have 3 attempts to pass. Providers that fail to take the quiz will need to come to KFAM's office for training. For any questions or comments, please contact Christine Chu.